We're back with number 20, and it's asking us if we can form a conclusion and which law we're using. So is it law of syllogism or law of detachment? Remember, with law of detachment, you need your hypothesis to match your statement. And with law of syllogism, you need your conclusion of one if-then statement to match your hypothesis of another if-then statement. So, this first one, beach towns are busy during the summer. San Clemente is a beach town. My recommendation to you would be to turn this into a conditional statement, an if-then. If it is a beach town, then it is busy during the summer. San Clemente is a beach town. So we have that beach town as our hypothesis and beach town as our statement. That would be law of detachment, and our conclusion would be San Clemente is busy during the summer, which it is. It kind of always is. Especially if you try to go to Ellie's table. Okay, here we go. Grumpy people are not fun to be around. So, if a person is grumpy, then they are not fun to be around. Let's just think about it as an if-then. If you are grumpy, then you will not have a lot of friends. All right, so grumpy people are not fun to be around. If you are grumpy, then you do not have a lot of friends. Notice how both of those are the hypothesis. You would say no conclusion. If we turn this into a conditional, if a person is grumpy, then they are not fun to be around. The grumpy person would be the same as this statement down here, two hypotheses, and that would be no conclusion. If we move down here, if an animal is a puppy, then it loves to chew furniture. If an animal is a puppy, then it loves to chew furniture. All right. Lucky loves to choose furniture. Chew. So it doesn't meet any of our requirements. One, it's not law of detachment because the hypothesis does not match the statement, right? This is talking about a puppy. And if it were syllogism, our conclusion does not match the first part of this statement if it were an if-then. So again, no conclusion. All right, let's look at 23. If you are running a marathon, you will be tired. It will make you tired. Sounds right. If you are tired, then you need a lot of sleep. All right, tired and tired. The conclusion of one matches with the hypothesis of another. That would be law of syllogism. And what we're going to say is if you run a marathon, then you will need a lot of sleep. If you, we're going to cross out what's in common, right? If you run a marathon, then you will need a lot of sleep. Okey-doke. All right, I'm going to zoom out here for a sec. And we're going to look here. And we're going to say that angle 1 is 38 degrees. We're going to say that the measure of angle 6 and the measure of angle 7 are equal. So these two are equal to each other. I'm going to go ahead and mark those. And that 5 and 6 together, these two are complementary. 5 and 6 together, they make a right angle. Okay, so right here, I'm going to start with angle 1. Well, angle 1 is vertical to angle 5, so I would say that this is 38. And then I know that these two are complementary, so together they have to add up to 90. So I'm going to do 90 minus 38 to get number 6, and that will give me 52. So 52 here, and then I can look here and think, oh, well, this is a vertical angle, so this would be 52. And then I'm going to look over here if this is 90 degrees, then this also has to be 90 degrees. All right, so you would just hop around to the next angle. And this one would also be 52, and again 38, which because these are vertical, this would now be 38 degrees. This, because they're vertical, would be 52, and that is all of your angles. So start with what you know and work your way around based on right angles, based on them maybe being forming a straight line and equaling 180, based on them being vertical. Vertical is very, very, very important. All right, and then moving right along to your guys' favorite, proofs. Woo, yay, proofs. All right, so your freebie, the given, is done for you, sadly. And what we need to look at is we need to look right here. What would I do if I'm solving this algebraically? I would multiply both sides by 5 so that I could get rid of the denominator. I would be left with 8x minus 3 equals 45. All right, and that you would say is the multiplication because you multiplied, property of equality. All right, and then the next thing, if I were going to solve, I would want to add 3 and add 3 to both sides, and I'd be left with 8x equals 48, and that would be the addition property of equality because I added. And then I would need to divide by 8 and divide by 8. I would end up with x equals 6, and that would be the division property of equality. Boom, and there's your proof. All right, let's move along to this proof here. Okay, so it says the AB is the bisector of CAD. So AB, that means that this angle is going to be congruent to that angle. And that's what they say right here. CAB is congruent to BAD. All right, that would be definition of an angle bisector. If you don't know what an angle bisector is by now, you're falling behind. You need to catch back up. All right. And then they go ahead and they say, well, they're congruent. So I'm going to put the measures here, and use definition of congruency. Okay. Well then, instead of using the actual angles, they will go ahead and replace them with these expressions. When they replace them like that, that would be substitution. Okay, and then they start solving. They take that 5 and they distribute it. Distribution. Or distributive property. And then they're going to go ahead and I'm going to have a 5x minus 5x and minus 5x. Okie doke. And you would be left with a, and a minus 2 and a minus 2. And I would be left with 2x equals 18. And that would be the subtraction property of equality. And then here, you go ahead and you divide by 2, divide by 2, and divide by 2. And you end up with x equals 9, which is what you wanted to prove in the beginning. And that would be the division property of equality. Okay, so we're moving on. Find the measure of each angle. Angle A is half as large as its supplement, angle B. Well, supplement's our keyword. We need to say that it's equal to 180. Angle A is half as large, which means B is twice as large. So I'm going to say when you add these two angles together, x and x, they equal 180. All right, well, B is twice as large, so I'm going to put a 2 in front of it. A is half as large, so technically there's a 1 there. 1 is half of 2. And there's my equation. A is half as large, so we could just go and say that this one was A, and we could go and say that this one was B of its supplement. They add to 180. I will combine like terms. I will divide by 3, and I will get x equals 60. So x equals 60, that was just your plain old Jane old x, our A. And B, angle B, was twice as large. 2 60s is 120. If I add them together to make sure that they add up to 180, it checks out. 60 plus 20 equals 180. There you go. All right, and back here. Last one. Which statement is a counter example for the following conditional? If you live in Kansas City, then you live in Ohio. Well, you could live in Kansas City, Kansas. Okay. Now, if a figure is a square, then it is a rectangle. Ooh, look at this. If a figure is a rectangle, then it has 4 right angles. Cross these out. Law of logic would be law of syllogism, LOS, and my new conclusion, if a figure is a square, then it has 4 right angles. There you go. All right. So my hypothesis here is, if the wind keeps up, then we lose some trees. And it says we lose some trees. Well, nothing matches to make the laws correct, right? My hypothesis does not match my statement, and my conclusion doesn't match my hypothesis of the other, so there's no conclusion we could make and no law that would be true. Let's look at this one, though. If I go to the movie, then I'll eat popcorn. So this is my P, and this is my Q, and this was, if I eat popcorn, this is my P, and this is my Q, then I'll enjoy the movie. All right, well, my conclusion and my hypothesis match. Yay! That's law of syllogism. I'm going to get rid of the matching part. If I go to the movie, then I'll enjoy the movie. If I go to the movie, then I'll enjoy the movie. Woohoo! You guys are done. Good job. I'm pretty confident you're ready for this. As long as you know the vocab, you should be good. See you guys tomorrow.